All right, welcome into episode 23 of Two Man Game with Damon and Dom. I'm Damon, that's Dom. We're two people, we're two guys here talking basketball. Make sure you like, leave 5 stars, comment, send to your friends, all that good stuff. We'll say at the top of the show. It's been a couple weeks now. Last week we had some scheduling issues. I wasn't feeling too good, and then you weren't feeling too good, and yeah, things didn't work out. So we got a lot to cover, 2 weeks worth of content. A lot of stuff is happening in the NBA. Dom, how are you doing on this Thursday evening?
Life happens. That's my first thing I'm gonna say.
Okay. Of
Second, I'm doing well. Thank you for asking.
course.
How are you doing?
I'm doing good myself. Yeah, yeah.
I'm
Can't
glad to
complain.
hear it. I've been way too busy, and I can't wait just to talk about hoops for like 2 hours and just not have to worry about anything else going on in the world, except is Pascal Siakam on the right team? That's all I
Well,
have to
we'll
worry
get
about.
there.
And we'll get there. Stay tuned. We'll get there.
What do you got? What do you got going on in the shirt game, the fit game today?
Got a black Lakers shirt on I got for
It, it
Christmas.
just says
It's
Lakers, and then below it has the Lakers logo.
Yeah, I was like when I got it for Christmas, so obviously I didn't say anything. But my first thought was could have been just this, could have been just the actual Lakers logo, or could have been just the word
Yeah,
Los Angeles
but
Lakers. But it
both
was
of them is
both.
weird.
Hey, but you know what? That's because we're twice as good as everyone else, and
Oh, is that so?
we're gonna unpack that later. But
Okay.
what are you wearing? What you got something very slick on right now, I see.
Yes. So viewers of the podcast may have seen this in previous episodes. This was also a gift for me from my mom. Is a Rockets jacket, red, shiny material. I can't. The material is not coming to my brain right now.
Satin, right? Or
Oh,
no?
yeah, I think that's it. Satin. Yeah, I think that's exactly what it is.
Okay.
Um,
It's
yeah,
very
yellow
slick
rockets
and
across
smooth.
the
Yeah.
front, yellow cuffs. I like it. I'm worried I'll burn to death by the time this podcast is over, but it's a very nice jacket, and I
It's
had
very
to
fresh.
wear it at some
I-
point. So,
Yeah, I do love the red and yellow, like the nine old Rockets kind of stuff. Looks very
mhm.
cool. We love to see it. It's either that, either got to be like red and yellow like that, or got to be like the spaceship that's like smiling at you.
The
Gotta
navy,
be.
the pinstripe, yeah,
Yeah, gotta love that. But yeah, since we're talking, it's so funny. I didn't even think about it. I'm wearing my Lakers shirt. You're wearing your Rockets shirt, and we're gonna dive
yeah,
into just a little update
yeah.
on
Let's
both
we
those
always
teams.
like to start off with the basketball news with a little update on our team. So, tell me, how have the Lakers been since we last talked a couple weeks ago?
Well, the Lakers are below 500 again, by one game.
Woo!
They lost to the Nets, which was despicable. The first half they had the game in the bag. Second half, Nets just like couldn't miss. And then they beat the Blazers in a blowout, which I'm glad because
Mm,
sometimes the Lakers are like, let's make this game interesting when it should be a
mhm.
blowout. And then they lost to the Clippers without LeBron. D'Lo had kind of let a run in the fourth quarter, but the Clippers kind of had the control most of the game, and that put them back below 500, 22 and 23. I know Torian Print, so Cam Reddish was out for a bit with some left knee soreness, but he was back. And then Torian Prince sat out for a little bit with some knee stuff going on. And then Gabe Vincent's still out for a few weeks because he's doing that surgery. I did want to mention too that I went to a Clippers and Nets game,
Mm.
and the Nets were absolutely demolishing the Clippers in the first three quarters, and then the Clippers ended on a 22-0 run to win the game. So
Whoa, 22-0 is crazy.
we know how much I loved watching that, and I was wearing a I Love New York shirt. So it's like, yeah, because I don't have a Brooklyn Nets thing or anything, but
Right.
I'm pretty
Dang,
sure,
twenty-two
yeah,
zeros was wild.
it is. It was a it was well, it was so funny because I was texting you. The game started with a 16-0 run for the Nets.
Yeah.
So literally, like the Clippers didn't score for the first like 4 or 5 minutes, which was insane. And I was sitting next to some Nets fans, so that was kind of fun. We're just like talking about Mikal and stuff and how good he is. We love Mikal Bridges here on the pod.
We do.
Fan of the pod, friend of the pod.
Friend of the pod, yeah. We've never talked
Yeah,
to him, but we
absolutely,
know he loves this
always.
podcast. So.
And I'm pretty sure I saw him. I don't know if you saw the opening tip, but he made a three in like 2 seconds because
Oh wow.
Claxton literally tipped it to, I think it was like Dorian Finney-Smith, and he threw it directly to Mikal Bridges, who's on the wing, and he shot a three and made it. It was like super quick.
Wow, that's cool.
Um, it was very cool to see. Unfortunately, they lost, and the Clippers are looking good, but we're not talking about the Clippers. But Lakers, there's a lot of trade talk or
Yeah,
surrounding them right now. And
I was sorry, go ahead.
I'm sure you're gonna ask about it. And I really don't want them to pull any trades, if I'm being honest, because
Not at all. You think they're good as they are.
they have they have the pieces that should be working together. And I know we've gone through a few months already of it not working, but I don't know if getting I don't think Zach LaVine's gonna help anything. I know
Mhm.
they're targeting like backup point guards like Tyus Jones.
Mhm.
And I saw something about Trey Young and Donovan Mitchell. I'm like, what world?
What
That's
assets are you moving for
yeah,
those
like
guys?
that's like insane. I kind of don't want them to do any of that. And most people are talking about D'Lo getting traded, but he's actually been doing pretty well.
He's been doing really well. Did you see the video of him crying on the bench?
He was crying. Why was he
He
crying?
he was like he looked sad, like the saddest I've ever seen someone look on an NBA bench, just crying. Because I think the conspiracy, so to speak, is that he knows like he's going to get traded, like he's most likely to get traded from that team. He's just sitting there crying on the bench at the end of the game, and he had like a really
That
good game too.
I wonder what game that was. I didn't see that. That's
Yeah,
great.
yeah.
Wow. Well, I really, because I really do like D'Lo on the Lakers. I think he is like everyone has pitfalls and like goes through things, but like he was a big part of the reason why we were able to make it to the Western Conference Finals last year, and he's
Mhm.
been on a tear recently. And I don't know. I mean, you could kind of say like, oh, he's trying to protect his job,
Mhm.
but I feel like that's how you can always play because that player's always been there. So I guess we'll see, and we'll talk about it next time. Because as of right now, he's still a Laker, and
Yeah.
I'm glad about that. But
We're
let's
we're
go.
not far from the trade deadline. I think we have a couple weeks until
I
the
think it's
trade
on
deadline.
my birthday. It's on the 9th, right?
I don't know, probably.
I think it's on my birthday. That's why I remember it. Because always around like that
Yeah, yeah,
middle,
yeah.
like beginning of February. So
Around All-Star time,
yeah, yeah. So
which we'll get
anywho,
into later.
we are gonna get to it. You definitely want to stick around for that. But before we get to that, we have to talk about the Houston Rockets.
Do we have to?
We we should. You're
Okay.
wearing a jacket. You're wearing a jacket.
Yeah, I'll make it quick. I'll make it quick and painful. Um, yeah, since we last talked to the pod, the Rockets have gone 2-5. So they're sitting at 20 and 23. Uh, the 11th seed, just below the Lakers. So unfortunately, last time I think we were right above you. Now we're right below you.
Yeah.
Spot. Yeah, our two wins. One of them was a 2-point win over the Pistons, the worst team in the NBA, and one of them was a 1-point win over the Jazz. So, and the Jazz, to be fair, had a hot streak there for a while. They were going crazy. They
Yeah.
were like 12-3 or something. Um, but not a great team in the grand scheme of things. We played the Celtics twice. They obliterated us. We played the Sixers. They killed us. We lost to the Blazers in overtime. And it's not been a good stretch. Dylan Brooks is back, so that's nice, I guess, for the defense. We're still missing Tari, who is one of my favorite Rockets. So
Yeah.
hopefully he can come back soon. Um, and then just going through and like watching the games and looking at the box scores and stuff. I think we're still playing a lot of Jeff Green, which he was on the Nuggets finals rotation last year. So it's like I guess, but like it doesn't look like he's doing a lot. And I feel like he's mostly playing because we don't have Tari. He's gonna just fill it in that
Mm,
spot.
yeah.
Still play it. Sometimes we play Reggie Bullock like 30 minutes, so I'm like, that shouldn't happen. That
That's
guy,
I keep forgetting he's on the
I
Rockets.
also keep forgetting he's on the Rockets. Yeah. I'm like, we have, Dylan Brooks is back. We'll have Tari eventually. We have Jabari. We have Cam Whitmore. We have guys to play that are not Reggie Bullock. So
Also, I saw Amin Thompson finally got the start, right?
Amin Thompson and Cam Whitmore started the other day. They both started because Dylan Brooks wasn't playing and Fred wasn't playing.
Yeah, like that's
So
pretty cool to see.
yeah,
I don't know. Do you know if how they did? I know I saw some Cam Whitmore stuff, which was cool,
yeah.
but
I mean, they've both been fine. I think Cam Whitmore has exceeded expectations so far. Carrying on from that summer league MVP. Amin has been okay. Uh,
yeah, yeah,
Standard rookie stuff.
absolutely. Friends of the pod, Cam Whitmore, and Amin
People
Thompson.
we actually talked to at summer league.
Yeah,
We
well,
talked to
definitely.
Amin.
Definitely Amin, and next time we hope he'll say more things to us, and hopefully his foot's not broken. But
Yeah,
we'll definitely get him on the pod at some point.
At some point, yeah. Sure. Um, yes, and so that's like the basic thing about the Rockets. We're kind of
Yeah,
coming back to earth after a good start to the season. Um, but that was kind of to be expected. I think I put them at like 12 or 13 seeds, so
yeah,
we're still kind of above those expectations right now, but probably not going to make the play in again. So that's where we are. Um, the last thing I wanted to talk about, a former Rockets player, Kevin Porter Jr. Um, yeah, bad situation. I think I went over this on one
yeah,
of the episodes you weren't on, if I'm not mistaken, a long time
yeah.
ago.
You I remember you mentioned it in an ISO episode. Yeah,
And yeah, basically there's a plea agreement where I'll just go ahead and quote here what I wrote. So he reached a plea agreement of reckless assault in the third degree and harassment in the second degree, involving the case with his former girlfriend and WNBA player Kiers Kiersey. I don't know how to say
I
her
was
name.
gonna tell you I thought you misspelled something, but I
Kaiser?
see
Maybe
it
it's Kaiser. Kaiser makes a lot more sense.
Kaiser Gondrzik.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, I really apologize for mispronouncing the name. I should have looked it up, but I didn't. And apparently he has to do like a year-long program, and once he does a year-long program, he could withdraw that plea to assault and have like nothing on his record. So his attorney said the resolution will allow Mr. Porter to put this incident, which involved false felony allegations and false facts behind him with no criminal record, and move forward. And then last thing, a quote from um, his former girlfriend. He didn't hit me. He never balled his fist up and hit me. And he definitely did punch me in the face numerous times. I don't have any injuries to support that.
Okay.
And that, like, when you hear that,
Wait.
it sounds like you're lying.
Yeah, I
It
thought that
sounds
was
like
like
sarcasm.
yeah, so it's like did he or not? I'm still a little confused about it. So he did reach the plea agreement, so he must be guilty of something. Like they would have
And
acquitted
I think
him.
how like fast he was like cut from the NBA too is like,
But
okay, something happened.
that's how it is nowadays, which I kind of understand. I mean, with almost anything, like you can just look back the last like year or two, and if there's any rumors of anything, which is crazy, and I know we're about to get into it, but even like the fact that Josh Giddey is still playing was also crazy because that was a lot of allegation stuff too.
Yeah.
Um, but like usually if there's a whiff of anything, the player is pulled from the team or let go in some sort or put aside while things get figured out. So I mean, I hope whatever he goes through helps them. I hope they've healed from whatever happened. Now I'm a bit more confused about what happened, but
Yeah, I'm not really sure. I know the original part was like, it's like he beat her up in a hotel room or something like
yeah,
that.
something like that. That's what I heard
Um,
too.
but yeah, so I don't know what's going on with that. I'm just glad he's not on the Rockets. I'm glad
Yeah,
he's not in the league currently. I mean, you look at Miles Bridges, who's back after like actually having like domestic felony assault charges or
literally. It's
whatever. So it's like, yeah, I guess the NBA doesn't take it as seriously as I wish they would. Uh, but yeah, I just wanted to
yeah,
give
of
an update on that because it is a former Rockets player. It's news.
course.
I don't know if it's
Yeah,
good
it
news,
is
but it is
news.
news.
Yeah,
So
it's better be informed than not informed. That's how I say. So
yeah, let's move on from this fun topic to another topic of
another fun
allegations,
topic.
like you just mentioned
Oh my
with Josh Giddey. So it came out from the Newport Beach Police Department that they couldn't find any evidence of criminal activity regarding Josh Giddey and the interactions he had with the minor via social media. So
so interesting. It's like so what
no charges, no nothing. I guess.
it's so like I don't understand the whole case because apparently the whole thing was that like she posted him like them together, but then all the stuff came out that they've been talking for a while and she's a minor and he's 20, but it's still she's a minor.
Right.
And then like he still played, which was so weird. And literally they would go on away games and everyone would just
The guy is booed
boo
every time he
literally
touches the
every time he
ball.
holds the ball, which
Yeah.
like I is like, yeah, he shouldn't be on the court. I don't understand.
Right.
And then when anything like this comes out, it's like, okay, there must be some proof to it, but some truth to it, but they couldn't find proof. So it is what it is. But I'm still like, he shouldn't have been playing
Right.
while that was happening. Um, and it's also just strange. I don't know. I don't love that. But hopefully, everyone is okay and can move on, or maybe hopefully nothing did happen. That's why but who knows?
Yeah,
Um,
we're not here to police, I guess, the NBA, but
yeah,
there's definitely some back-to-back stories here where it's like, ah, ah,
it's
ah.
a and it always happens in sports too. It's always like there's a lot of
It,
money involved and like it's a
right. It's
big
like, oh
business. It's
yeah,
like
it doesn't actually matter because it's sports. But if it
because
were
there's celebrities, or if
any
it was,
normal person, it's bad.
yeah,
Which actually it
absolutely.
is. It is bad for a normal person, but it's also bad for an athlete. It's bad for
Yeah,
everyone.
it's everyone. We're all human beings.
We should all
So.
be, follow the law
And
equally and
held accountable if we
not
break the
abuse people
law.
or talk spiders. That's
Yeah.
my take. That's my hot take for the
Yeah, hey, it's a hot take. I agree with you. I
day.
think that's a good hot take.
Do
Um,
better NBA,
here's not a
but
hot
also
take.
goes for a lot of leagues. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna say here's not a hot take.
Okay.
Cleveland Cavaliers legend Tristan Thompson.
He is a legend.
He is, but he's suspended by the NBA for 25 games for violating the NBA MBPA anti-drug program by taking growth hormones. I just found really interesting because is Jared Allen, Evan Mobley, someone's still injured. I have not watched the
Evan Mobley,
Cavaliers.
Evan Mobley has been out for a long time.
Okay, so
So is
Tristan
Darius Garland.
Thompson's right. I knew that. So Tristan Thompson, I guess, is getting some minutes.
He's been
Um,
part of their. They've been like super high in offensive rebounding. They've been Jared
I
Allen.
yeah, Jared Allen, I get, but I don't understand why you have to take growth hormone. I mean, you're already like older, and I guess you want to try to keep up with the young guys, but I don't think it's an excuse to do anything like that. I think it's ridiculous.
Here, okay. Here's my issue with this.
Yeah.
Growth hormones, 25 games, immediate, boom, like that. But like we just talked about, Josh Giddey play every game. Kevin Porter Jr. not playing because he was waived. Miles Bridges currently playing. He got a year where he was not really suspended, but then they were like, actually, he is suspended. We're going to take that year and we're going to call it the suspension. Um, and John Morant had the games this year as well for the things online. So it's like I feel like we were not consistent with our punishment, and the what is it? The punishment is not fitting the crime per se.
Yeah.
25 games for taking some growth hormones, but guess what? Talk to a minor, you're in every game, baby. What?
You just get booed. Oh, you get booed. Um, the only thing I will say to counter that, which I agree with you entirely, is that I mean the growth hormones is direct proof. You take
It's
a
direct
test,
proof,
it
right?
shows,
Yeah.
yeah,
Whereas all
which
the other stuff is allegations.
yeah, but
They saw him getting all
I
those
agree with you
rebounds. They're
there.
like, something's wrong here. We got to test
Yeah,
that
you're like
guy.
32-year-old Tristan Thompson is getting a lot of offensive rebounds for someone who's 32 years old and shouldn't be in the league or playing as many minutes. Um, Also, I'll just say this as well because I know you know more about the next stuff. But Zach LaVine out 1 to 2 weeks with the right ankle sprain. But I pretty sure he's playing now, right?
Maybe I did make this note a while ago, so he
Yeah,
could be
I
back
haven't
by
checked.
now.
I'm pretty sure he played against the Raptors when I watched Bruce Brown play his first game.
Keep in mind, listeners, these are notes that have been compiled over the last 2 weeks. So
Zach LaVine was out for
he
a right
was
ankle
out.
sprain,
He
but
was
I
out.
believe he is playing again.
Yes.
And we'll talk about that game later because I have some notes about some trades that happened. But yeah,
Moving on. Further
moving on.
injuries.
Further injuries.
Desmond Bane, he had that nasty slip. We talked about actually last pod because it just happened like before we
Right.
recorded, and he slipped on the court. And it was like, oh, it looks like it's an ankle thing, but nothing was released. Turns out he's a grade 3 left ankle sprain. That's bad. He's gonna be reevaluated in 6 weeks. That's not good.
Not
Uh,
good. Bad. Not good.
and then Jake Laravia has a grade 2 high left ankle sprain. He'll be reevaluated in 3 weeks. So the
Damon.
Grizzlies, huh?
Damon, who's Jake LaRavia?
Jake LaRavia was drafted, I believe, in the 2021 draft class. Picked number like 19 or something like that. He doesn't play much, but
Well,
he's
he's
on the
out.
team.
And he's
Yeah.
out.
So they're down Ja, Bane, Smart, Marcus Smart. Remember he had injury. We talked about that last time. Steven Adams out for the season. Clark out for the season. Jake Laravia and Derrick Rose has been out too. So
What happened I haven't seen Derrick Rose playing, but I thought he was just like down on the rotation. But like what
he's
happened?
out. I don't know. They're out. They're
That's
all
so
out, Dom. I
crazy.
don't know. Their
I
whole team
watched
is
the
gone.
I watched the Grizzlies play against the Timberwolves, and I know like they signed Isaiah
Jacob
Thomas.
Gilliard.
Yeah, that's a name that sounds familiar. Um, and like it was a pretty competitive game. The Wolves ended up winning. But I mean, I remember seeing Isaiah Thomas was signed to the Grizzlies, and he hasn't played at all. I haven't seen him play at all.
Yeah.
And the Grizzlies are just so bananas right now.
So bananas, yet they managed to take down the Warriors, led by Vince Williams, who is the guy that's been starting for them. He was on a two-way contract, and they converted him to a season-long contract. And G.G. Jackson, who we saw in Summer League, um, the youngest player in the NBA, is like still 19 years old. He had the early game against them. And the Warriors were fully healthy. His first game, Draymond was back, and they lost to like a starting lineup of Jacob Gilliard, Luke Kennard, Vince Williams. Um, I don't know. I don't. Maybe Jared Jackson played that game. He's been out here and there too.
Yeah,
And then Xavier
Xavier.
Tillman. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like they're.
Well, is it because the Grizzlies are that good or the Warriors are that bad? That's
I
my
don't
next
know.
question.
You got some news about the Warriors that I should know?
I do. It's actually some very sad
It is
news.
really sad.
Yeah, so one of the Warriors assistant coaches, uh Dejan Milojevic, he was hospitalized in Salt Lake City after going out to a restaurant with the team. They thought might be food poisoning of some sort, but it turns out that it was a heart attack. And unfortunately, he did pass away in the hospital, which was not, that's terrible. I
That's
mean,
just terrible. Yeah. So
yeah,
obviously I think it was our very last episode we talked about is the Warriors like is their dynasty over? What's going on? We spent a lot of time on them. Obviously this is unrelated. This is sad. This is a personal thing. This is
yeah,
a person, and we feel for their family. We feel for their friends. We feel for the Warriors, their team, fan base, all that stuff. That's just sad news.
of course, yeah. So, the Warriors, they were in Salt Lake City to play against the Jazz. They postponed that game and also one more game. Last night they played their first game since Milojevic passed against the Hawks, and Steve Kerr had some very, very nice things to say before the game. And instead of a moment of silence, they did a standing ovation, which went on for a long time. It was very sweet of them, and actually all the players. So they were wearing custom jerseys that had their numbers but had his last name over it. And then before the game, they put all those jerseys down on the chair where he used to sit. And also, they have a patch on their jersey for DM, his initials. And also on the court, you said, right?
Yeah, like right by the scorer's table, it's a heart
Yeah.
with the but it.
Yeah. So, like Damon said, like our condolences to family, friends, and the Warriors organization. N- it's just the worst thing to happen, especially all so suddenly
They're
out
a
of
big fan of
nowhere.
basketball.
Absolutely. And I mean, even like the Raptors head coach, like he was asked about it. They worked a lot together. I think they're both Serbian.
Serbia, yeah.
And he ran the first after he found out that his friend passed, the first play that the Raptors ran the game after was written up by Milojevic.
Mm,
And it was a successful three. So, you know, it
well,
was a nice kind of nod to that and unfortunate news. But we hope everyone heals in time.
yeah, he had a lot of influence over overseas before coming over to the NBA. I think his coaching career was like 15 years or something like that. Which pretty good coaching career. He worked with a lot of Serbian big men and other foreign big men too. One of which was Ivica Zubac, which is why I had this news right after that. He actually worked
Oh,
with him really
wow.
closely.
I
And
didn't know.
unfortunately, Zubac is injured for at least 4 weeks. He'll be reevaluated. So he's like really the only guy on the Clippers that's a center that like I would trust in an NBA game. They're out there running Plumlee and Daniel Tice right now. So hopefully he comes back soon. Because the Clippers have been playing really well, like you mentioned earlier.
Yeah, play. I gotta tell you, I was so surprised when I went to the game and I saw Mason Plumlee starting. I was like, hold up, something's wrong. And then like, yeah, it was so funny because I saw Mason Plumlee like he got fouled a bit and he would shoot free throws and he missed a ton. So during halftime, I saw him on the court just practicing free
Oh
throws.
wow, that's wild.
Uh,
Does
yeah,
Mason Plumlee have like a really weird free throw too?
I'm sure. I did not watch. I did not
I think
look
he
that
like
close.
holds it like really
Yeah.
low or
Oh yeah, yeah,
something.
yeah, yeah. And he like pushes it like with
Yeah.
one. Yeah, yeah. Um, but yeah, that is I found out at the game that he was out. But also, well, here's some kind of cool news, some Heat related news.
Yeah, let's get past all this garbage
Yeah,
we've been
yeah,
talking
yeah,
about.
yeah. Let's talk about some cool things. So I thought this was really nice. I think there was I don't know what the event was, but Dwayne Wade was sitting center court at a Miami Heat home game. I think it wasn't a jersey retirement because it's been retired, right? So it was like some kind of like Ring of Honor type thing,
Right.
probably. So he was sitting center court, and Pat Riley announced to him and to the whole stadium that they're going to build a Dwayne Wade statue outside of the Heat Stadium, which I want to know your thoughts. I think that's, I mean, awesome, and you could see how emotional he was when he found out. But what do you think about that?
Yeah. I mean, obviously, I think that's great. You know, Dwayne Wade played most of his career with the Heat. Not all of it. I would have loved if he did all of it, but he won the early championship with Shaq in '06, and then he won, of course, a couple with LeBron. And then I do like at least Dwayne Wade. He went back to the Heat. You know, he went to
Mhm.
the Bulls and then the Cavs for a little bit, and he just on the tail end of his career. And then he played one final season with the Heat. Obviously, place that drafts you. I think he was like third overall, fourth overall, pretty early in the draft. And he spent so much time there. Like, yeah, you think of Heat legends, Dwayne Wade is probably one of the first guys that comes to your mind. I would assume.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
so yeah, I have no problem with that. I think that's great. And not only is he a Heat legend, but like I just mentioned, he brought championships to the franchise. So
Yeah, NBA legend.
for
Absolutely.
sure, make him best shooting guards of all time. It's probably get 5, 6 in before you mention Wade. I don't know. He has to be up there, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, since we're talking about NBA legends and Heat legends, Udonis had the Hammer Haslam
That's his nickname.
also got his jersey retired, which I mean, what more can we say about the guy? We love the guy. He played 20 years with the Heat,
20
right?
years, all with the Heat.
And
Yeah,
all with the Heat, number 40,
number 40.
retired. No one else will ever wear that
No
jersey
one was
again.
gonna wear it anyway. So
No one's gonna wear it anyways. 40 is not a very appealing looking number. But happy for Udonis and the Heat
Oh
family. So
yeah. Yeah, listeners of the pod, if you don't know, that's one of our guys. That's one of our guys we talk about, joke about. Always has been, always will be. Forever in our hearts, Udonis has them.
and only
Love
between
that.
you and I, we know why we call him the Hammer.
The
So
hammer, yeah, yeah.
gotta
Ask us
love it.
about it IRL if you want it.
Yeah, yeah. But
It's not actually that funny.
also about Heat related news.
Yeah,
Some big a big trade, a kind of big trade just happened.
yeah. Do you want me to tell it? Do you want me to say it? It sounds like you're
I
setting me up here.
I'm setting you up, play. I want you to tell me everything.
All right, so the Heat traded Kyle Lowry, whose contract is expiring. That's worth noting. And a 2027 lottery protected first round pick. Like we know with Miami Heat, they are playoff bound almost every year. So I believe if it's not conveyed in 2027, it will be a 2028 unprotected first round pick. So they'll just get whatever it is for the following year. For Terry Rozier, Scary Terry, now a member of the Miami Heat. Yeah, I saw this and I was surprised. What are your thoughts though? I hear.
So my first, I know you can break it down a bit more, but my initial thought was was sure the Hornets could have gotten more for this.
Mm,
Because you're getting just one pick, one first round pick, and a player you're not going to play. And I think the idea is that they're going to flip Kyle Lowry, but I don't know really how much in demand he is, especially with an expiring contract.
mhm.
So I just thought, I feel like there were other people having to call about Terry Rozier. I know he was in rumors a bit for trades, and he's having a really great year. So I just thought they could have gotten more, but maybe not. But I'm happy for. I mean, the Heat need kind of a scorer, kind of need a player like that, ball handler. So happy for the Heat, happy for Terry to get in a bigger market. He was kind of older for the Charlotte Hornets kind of core of like Brandon Miller and LaMelo and
Mhm.
um oh, who's their center? Not Mark Jackson.
Mark Williams,
Mark Williams.
not
Gotcha,
Kai
gotcha.
Jones, that's for
Yeah,
sure.
Kai Jones was the first one I thought. I was like, no, he's going through it.
He's
Uh,
going through it, yeah.
yeah, but how do you feel about it?
Yeah, I guess I had a similar thought to you. I was like, oh, that's it, huh? Interesting. We'll get to our all-star list later. Terry Rozier was a guy that I considered very briefly, like I just thought of him. I was like, do I
Yeah,
need to put this guy on my ballot? Because that's how good of a year he's having. He's been really good for the Hornets, especially when LaMelo was out. He was kind of the guy on that team. So
yeah,
just getting Kyle Lowry and maybe they reroute him and get some more things. That would be nice to see. And a 2027 pick from a team that always makes the playoffs is interesting. Like you said, they're making more demand for him, or yeah, for him at elsewhere, other contenders that maybe had other picks or young, interesting players. Like surprised they didn't target. I don't think Jaquez is acquirable. He's been too good, but
yeah.
like
Like someone
Nikola
younger.
Jovic,
Hmm.
someone like that. Yeah, like someone else just to kind of throw in there and spice it up for the rebuilding team. Um, but yeah, I'm really happy for, like you said, for Terry Rozier. I think, you think heat culture is like a big thing. I feel like Terry Rozier fits right into that. Kind of a scrappy guy. He's like a shooting guard and a point guard body, he's like 6'1", but he scores a lot. I do think, assuming their starting lineup is him, Tyler Hero, Jimmy, Jaquez, Bam, like where's the point guard? Where's the facilitating? Where does that stuff happen? I don't know.
Yeah,
Um,
I think I just watched them play. I think it was Caleb Martin instead of Jaquez.
oh, interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. But I actually didn't see Jaquez play. I just watched. They just played Heat and Celtics could not miss. They Heat were demolished.
Mm.
But it was fun to watch. Terry Rozier in he was wearing the Heat culture jersey too, our
Oh
favorite.
wow. What number is he?
Um, two, which
Took
isn't
Gabe
that
Vincent's
bad.
number.
Yeah, well, I was like, why isn't he three? And I was like, oh yeah, I guess
Dwayne
Dwayne Wade
Wade.
was a person at one time.
You know what number he wore
Uh,
for the Celtics?
Terry Rozier.
Yeah.
Yeah, number 8, dude.
No, number 12.
No, I know I was wrong.
Number 8 was Kimba. Kimba.
I knew that. I knew
And
that.
now it's Porzingis.
And now it's Porzingis. But only one person can wear 8, and that's Kobe. So, and conversation over.
Okay. Sounds
But
good.
yeah, I guess we'll see how it goes. I'm curious to see what the Hornets do. The
Yeah.
trade deadline coming up, and then yeah, I think the Heat. It was a good move, definitely. I mean, Kyle Lowry's a
Oh
good
yeah.
player, but he's at the end of
He's
his.
old.
He's old.
He's really old.
Terry Rozier is definitely an upgrade, and I'm excited to see what they do. I mean, they're always good, scrappy. Like
Yeah,
you said, I think he
I'm
fits
like,
in.
this will be interesting in a playoff series.
Yeah. Let's talk about a little bit more not
A
interesting trade, but a bit
big
more
trade, big trade.
big trade alert, big trade
Tell me,
alert.
tell me, tell me. Or do you want me to tell you? What do you want? What do you want? Tell me
Um,
what you want.
I will say it this time.
Say it. Okay.
So I think we may have mentioned it earlier. So the Indiana Pacers traded Bruce Brown,
Mm,
Jordan Nwora,
okay.
2 24 first round picks and a 2026 first round pick to the Raptors for Pascal Siakam.
Oh, that sounds major. That's huge. Wow. Whoa, whoa.
Oh yeah, what's your initial reaction? It were live reactions. We're doing live reactions
Live
right now.
reactions. Yeah.
We were watching games like that doesn't look like a player that should be on that team, but we weren't thinking about it. But yeah,
Yeah.
so
As like this trade happens. Like we were talking about this trade on last week episode, so it's been a little
it's
bit.
been I was
So
like
we're a little late.
I remember when you told me it happened. It was like we need to do a video like right. I wish we could do like a quick video right now
Yeah.
to break
If
it
we
down.
had like actual people on our YouTube channel or something, we could totally do like live, like stream real quick and just kind of do
Yeah,
it. But
we'll get
one day.
there. We'll
Yeah,
get there.
yeah.
But I want to know we didn't talk about how we felt about it. So I want to know how do you feel about it?
It's interesting. First, I want to say I'm really glad the Raptors have done it. I talked about it all off season. I said I think the Bulls were more common for people where it was like, okay, these obviously need to blow it up. But I said during our offseason, I said, I'm giving the Raptors a low grade because they need to blow it up. And it's finally happening. I'm actually glad that they traded OG and now Pascal before the trade deadline because I feel like when you do that, you have more time to kind of figure out the rest of your team and like if you need to make additional moves. I'm liking the initiative that Masai Ujiri is taking over there. In terms of the actual trade, I think this is a decent return because Pascal has been an all-star, he's been a champion. He was like the second best, third best player maybe on the Raptors team in 2019 that won. He's only 29. He's not that old. He's a little older than a lot of the Pacers core, but he's not that old. And he's expiring, so last year, Fred VanVleet walked in free agency to the Rockets for absolutely nothing when they could have traded him last year to deadline. So at least this way, you're getting Bruce Brown, who is probably a player I imagine they will try to flip. I think that was reported because he could be very useful to a lot of contenders. Jordan Noir is a interesting young player. He was on the Bucks, Pacers. Now he's on the Raptors. Maybe he'll get a chance to see what they got. The 2024 first round picks, one of them is the Pacers, and one of them is like the worst of four teams. It's like absurd. It's like Utah, Indiana, blah blah blah. It's like the worst out of those four. So
Okay.
that's yeah, it's weird. And the 2026 picks, also the Pacers. So assuming the Pacers are probably somewhere between 15 and 22 or something, for the next couple of years, that's not a terrible pick. And again, he's expiring and he could have walked away in free agency. So
Yeah, it's
it's
like
it's it's a decent return.
yeah, and
Right.
in the meantime, you get two rotation players, one for sure, and then you get these picks for the future. So
That was my Raptors take. What's your Raptors take? And then I'll tell you my Pacers take.
yeah, so my Raptors take was, maybe I wanted a little bit more for him, right?
Oh.
I think that's what most around the league people are saying, but I honestly don't think it's that bad. I think three first round picks, essentially. Um, Pacers, you don't know how good they're going to be in 2026. Anything can happen in the league. Bruce Brown, great player. If they keep, I mean, he's young. He kind of fits the timeline of like RJ and IQ and Jordan Noir. I watched a little bit of. He's fine. Maybe he can develop a bit more over in the Raptors. And I don't hate the team as it is right now. And I know I have it in the notes here, but Bruce Brown's first game with the Raptors, they lost to the Bulls, but he was a plus 19 on the floor. And that's what I like so much about Bruce Brown. He is wherever he goes, can just be plugged in into the
Mhm.
lineup and just be a plus on the court. But I don't hate it. I thought they could have gotten more, but it's not bad. That's kind of what my thoughts are. But how do you feel? You think the Pacers finesse them, or is there a winner and a loser, or is it mutual? What do you think?
I feel like there's just two Raptors trades in a row that I feel like are win-wins because like I said, I was okay with the return, especially considering he was expiring and could walk free agency. Um, but the Pacers, I think they believe in Halliburton. They believe Miles Turner, he's going to stick around. They believe in some of the other young guys like Benedict Mathurin. I'm really actually shocked and happy that they managed to do this trade without giving up Benedict Mathurin or Jarris Walker, their rookie, or anyone
Mhm.
like that. And I think that Pascal, like you mentioned with Bruce Brown, is a very like plug and play kind of player. I think he'll slide right into the four alongside Miles Turner nicely. And you have Halliburton, Buddy Hield in the backcourt. You have Mathurin getting some of those minutes too. Um, at the three, you have Walker top it, I guess, come off the bench now, like he was for Julius Randle, so he probably hates that. Um, but I think it's like let's give a winning veteran player to our young team, and maybe they'll develop some of those winning habits. Do I think this makes the Pacers like a championship contender or anything like that? No, but I think they can make a first round series against the Sixers, Bucks, or Celtics kind of interesting.
Yeah, I think they have a better chance now than before. Like as much as Bruce Brown was so good on defense, I mean that's what you're losing is like just a really good defender. And also, fast break scorer. But Pascal is that. Pascal is one of the best fast break scorers in the game. Um, and yeah, how are you gonna do against like a Giannis, Damian Lillard Bucks or a Celtics? It's tough to say, but and even like you said, like even though he is older and a veteran, he's 29, so
Mhm.
um I think I looked a little bit read a little bit about some interviews, and he seems very interested in sticking around. He likes the Pacers, the team and the organization. So because his deal is expiring, but I think they'll be able to retain him and maybe they'll make it work. But yeah, I think they did a very good job, like you said. It didn't give up Benedict Mathurin, Jarris Walker. So
I have
yeah,
saw and read things that basically for the Pacers to make this trade, there's already kind of like a hush hush deal established with Siakam. Like he's going to re-sign there. Otherwise, you don't throw all the stuff in, which I guess you can't guarantee because then it's like tampering. But I imagine, assuming all goes well this season, he will re-sign and remain a Pacer.
yeah. And there's just things like that you just can't help. That's just kind of built into the game as it is. And I think tampering is a bit of a harsh word to use because like even with all these trades happen, I mean it happened with the Jalen Brunson trade, but like his dad works there. What do you like? Duh. Like
He talks to his father,
yeah,
sorry.
yeah, exactly. It's like are you gonna find a team for him talking to his dad? It's a bit so I don't hate that. Like, I don't think that's a negative. I think it's a tool used by everyone. I mean, there is even like that, unspoken deal that they'll Daryl Morey, James Harden, even though that kind of blew up, that they were gonna like sign him to more money, didn't, blah blah blah, whatever. But in regards to this, I agree with you. I think it's a win-win. Um, Raptors are still, young, exciting to watch. I'm glad they did it as well. And Pacers are, I think, definitely a bit more contending in the East. So more than they were before, and they, made it all the way to the end in season tournament. So
Yeah, I'm excited to see the playoffs. I'm ready for the playoffs. I think they're gonna be really exciting.
yeah, I think so too. And since we were talking about the Raptors, I also put in the notes here that so OG Anunoby, his last name I always
And
just like
Anobi,
roll Anunoby, OG Anunoby. Uh,
Agugwa.
since he has been on the Knicks,
Mm.
he has on average across I think 13 games has been a plus 17.27 on the floor.
Yeah, I was actually looking before this game, the game they're currently playing. I have no idea who they're playing, but he had like 26 points and 6 steals. I was like,
Yeah.
yeah, that sounds about right.
It's so crazy. I watched a little bit of the Nets Knicks game, and the Nets were winning, and the Knicks just came back, and OG was a big part, his defense and great win-win trade for them. And um, he fits into that Knicks like Tom Thibodeau
Hmm.
scheme so well. And yeah, I just thought that was crazy. That was the average of his
Yeah,
plus minus.
I am ready for the Cavs Knicks 4-5 first round rematch. That's what I'm ready for.
It's gonna happen every year for the rest of our lives.
Ugh, we
Um,
we have an even more exciting trade to talk about.
oh yeah, tell me all about it.
Yeah, the Wizards they traded Gallinari, who I forgot was on their roster, and Mike Muscala, who I also forgot was on their roster, for Marvin Bagley and Isaiah Livers from the Pistons, as well as 2 seconds. My thoughts on this trade are this: I don't understand why the Pistons would give up 2 seconds because they're god awful. Their seconds are going to be like 31st. Why? I don't understand. I think the idea of this was that Gallinari and Muscala, I think, are both expiring. So it just opens
Yeah,
up their cap a little bit. And Bagley, they just signed kind of a bigger deal, like after they traded for him from the Kings, and they wanted to get off of that. Um, Especially because we talked about this before on this podcast. They have so many centers on their roster, with Wiseman and Stewart and Jalen Duren. So they were
yeah,
like, we don't need this guy. But like, why give up 2 seconds when you're a really, really bad team? And those could be like high second round picks is kind of like late first round pick. So I don't I don't get it. I don't think like if I'm the Pistons and I'm the worst team in the NBA, I'm not too worried about my cap situation because no one's coming here for agency. It's not happening.
Yeah, I didn't understand this trade at all. Because also I forgot Gallinari and Muscala were on the Wizards, and I okay, I maybe it's because no one wanted Bagley, and the Pistons were like, we'll give you Bagley and we'll give you 2 seconds, just take them. And
Yeah.
Wizards are like, I guess we'll take them. But like it's so interesting. I mean, are Gallinari and Muscala gonna play for the Pistons?
Uh, Gallinari like tore his ACL, didn't he? Was that this season or was that last season?
That was last season because he was on like he was Thunder to somewhere else to Celtics and then back to Wizards and then he's like number 88, which is a disgusting looking number on the Wizards. I watched a little bit of the
Oh,
game.
he is actually playing. He's number 12 for the Pistons. I hate this.
That's better. But
I
wasn't Joe Harris number 12? Is Joe Harris still on the Pistons? There's so much to unravel.
Joe Harris on the I know this from doing
He's
the
31.
he's 31, yeah, from doing like the Purtle or something like
Right. Okay.
that. He was 12 in the Nets though, so I don't know why his number changed.
Wait, he was on the Nets?
Joe Harris? You remember Joe
Oh,
Harris?
Joe Harris. That's probably what I'm thinking about. Um, okay, okay, yeah. So I
We're
got
all over the place.
confused. We're all over the place. Anyways, so the
I,
Wizards and the Pistons exist. Is what I learned.
the two worst teams in the East
Yeah.
making a trade with each other. He loved to see it.
Yeah, yeah. But
Let,
us.
let, let's go to coaching. A
Yeah, yeah,
coaching
yeah. I want to go
carousel.
into let's go into coaching. Tell me a little bit, because you told me about this. I want you to tell me
It's
about this.
this was so funny. So the Kings are playing against the Bucks, and it was a close game throughout. And I think, I know, the game ended with Damian Lillard hitting like a fadeaway 3-point buzzer beater. It was kind of a nutty shot. Um,
It was literally like off balance,
yeah,
like
it was a crazy
typical.
shot for him to make.
Yeah,
And in the post-game press conference, and it was kind of a comeback win for the Bucks, if I'm not mistaken. I think the Kings were up in this game. It
yeah.
was
That's
close,
exactly.
but
Yeah.
they were up. And in the post-game press conference, Mike Brown is talking to reporters. Mike Brown, coach of the Kings, if you're the listener, do not know. And he looks off screen and he says, "Hey, bring that here." And he like a laptop shows up and he just opens it and it already has like the play on it that he's talking about. And he's like, he points to two different plays. One of them is a foul that was not called against the Kings. And then one of them is a foul that was called against the Kings that was the same thing that the foul was not called for. So he was
Yeah.
like, look, these are two examples. One of them is being called against my team, one of them's not. And he was talking about like the verticality rule.
Yeah, where you have
Because
to have two hands up.
yes, because
Yeah.
Sabonis, I guess, will sometimes do like a forearm and one arm up, and they say, "Oh, you got to put two hands up." But then I guess the Bucks were doing forearm and one hand up, and he was like, "I just need to know what the rule is. We got to be consistent in the rule. Just tell me what the rule is." Like he was being like super, uh, like silly about it, but also kind of aggressive. I just thought it was funny, and I wanted to talk about that especially because last episode we talked about the Raptors coach Darko complaining about officiating, and then
Yeah.
now Mike Brown's complaining about officiating. So.
Yeah, I mean they're bringing things that are issues up. I think Darko was a bit more emotional with his response, whereas Mike Brown was trying to be a bit more, like approach it logically, showing a laptop and showing the plays. I don't even know, did he get fined for
I did
that?
not hear an announcement about him getting fined. He may have got fined. I didn't hear
Yeah,
about that.
which I don't it's tough because like I don't think either one of them should have been fined. I
Mhm.
think that's a bit it's
You
like
should be allowed to critique people.
you should be allowed to express your emotion. Like they're not hurting and they're not physically hurting anybody. Like I think you should get fined if you hit someone across the face when you're playing a game, but definitely not for stating that, hey, I think they had too many free throws, or I'm showing you, here's an example. I'm showing you like here was a foul that was called and wasn't. And the thing is, it's always been a thing in the NBA. Like there are gonna be fouls that don't get called, there are gonna be fouls that aren't fouls that get called.
Mhm.
And I think to get so hyper fixated on these two examples is a bit much. Um, but I obviously wish it was more consistent. I wish the fouls that were fouls were always called and the non-fouls were never called. That's a perfect world, and we don't live in that, unfortunately. But yeah,
You
it
have
was
human error.
interesting. Yeah, I did love watching that. I needed a little pick me up, and I just watched the clip of him. I just kept repeating, like, I just want to know the rule. Just
Yeah.
change the rule if I could do this, or and he just kept doing this over and over, just
Yeah.
putting his hands up and around. A little goofy, but I mean, props to Damian Lillard for hitting that shot. Dame time, alive and well. Gotta say.
Yes, it is. We'll talk more about him later.
Yeah, yeah. So this also happened. Some more coaching stuff. So the
Coaching, coaching,
Trailblazers,
coaching.
they're filing a protest to a loss that they did against the Thunder. So Chauncey Billups was clearly calling a timeout with the Blazers up 109-108
Hmm.
before the refs whistled a double dribble against the Blazers with 15 seconds left. And then Billups, obviously upset, was given two texts and he was ejected.
Then they lost 111 to 109.
Then they lost. I remember I watched a clip of J Dub hitting like a dagger shot, kind of
Yeah.
putting them away. What do you think about this?
Again, another example of officiating poorly. And I think it's so weird because the NBA, just like other professional sports leagues, especially when games are getting close down to the wire, they do a lot of booth reviews, they do a lot of
Yeah,
like, let me go and look at this. So you can go look and say, oh, I see him on the camera calling a timeout. Okay. Okay, he called a timeout before the double dribble. And you just reverse it like that. I think that's like pretty simple to do.
yeah.
Especially like maybe the way Chauncey Billups went about it wasn't correct. Maybe he was so heated and that's why he got X and ejected. But like, just do your job. I don't know. Like you don't want a game to be determined by officials missing somebody calling a timeout.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think if you instead of I didn't watch the clip, I don't know exactly what he did, but I'm sure he was very upset. Maybe try to logically tell them like I understand also getting emotional though. Like I get it. When you're calling a timeout, but logically telling them we're in the last 2 minutes, you need to review this call. I called a timeout. That's kind of interesting, right? Because this happened, and then there was that Lakers Suns game where Austin Reeves called a timeout, but he didn't, and he didn't have possession, and
Mhm.
they didn't really check too much to look into that. But that's
That's
the
the
Lakers
Lakers.
Suns. Exactly. And this is Blazers Thunder. It's like small markets. It's
Hmm.
like, we're like, yeah, we're gonna wave it off. I don't agree with it by any means. I don't care if it's my team or not. That's just not how it should be. Um, but
Big fan.
yeah, you know what? You're right. I'm gonna defend them even when they're wrong. But anyways, another coaching thing happened a few days ago, or like 2 days ago.
This caught me off guard.
Yeah, this was also it caught a lot of the people off guard. It caught a lot of the world off guard. It caught me off guard too, for sure.
Yeah, so Adrian Griffin out as the Bucks coach after just 43 games. They were 30-13. Now the last two games they played before he was fired were two single-digit wins over the Pistons. So maybe it was like, oh, we're barely squeaking by the Pistons. This is not good. And then it was very quickly rumored and then confirmed that Doc Rivers is back. Doc is in. He is coaching the Bucks. So interesting. He was brought in back, I think, around the in-season tournament to be a consultant
Yep.
for the Bucks, and then now he's their coach. So I don't know what he consulted, but it must have been like this guy's not very good at his job. And I've heard some things and read some things on this. I know like one of the big things early on for Adrian Griffin. Uh, well, I'll say for him, that's not fair for him. He's a rookie coach, given championship expectations on this team, and right before training camp starts, they trade for Damian Lillard. So all the plans he was making is like, okay, that's out the door because this team's entirely different now. I know he had some moments like he came over from the Raptors and he tried to run the thing the Raptors used to do where they just run around and like switch constantly because they were playing like 4, 6, 8 small forwards at the same
Yeah.
time. Um, and the Bucks players were basically like, we don't want to do this because that's not how we roll. Then he admitted that in an interview on TV. He was like, "Oh yeah, the players didn't want to play my way, so like we're just doing what they want." So like I guess that probably was a good look, along with these rough games with the Pistons, Doc's consulting. And I think like if you watch the Bucks, you kind of just notice things that's like, like this team is doing well, but like they're not like the powerhouses that they should be. Their games are probably closer than they should be.
Yeah.
Dame and Giannis aren't running enough two-man game for Dame and Giannis. Like that's the two-man game right there, right?
Two-man game. Hey, it's not the OG. That's Damon and Dom, but
Yeah.
hey, they'll
Yeah.
do. They'll do.
So yeah, I think like there was a lot of kind of hints that this could have happened. Interesting that the Bucks though decided to fire the coach mid-season. They'll still have to pay him out his contract. And I guess that just that just means they're taking this real seriously. They didn't think you'd get the job done. But I don't know. I've been talking for a while. What do you think? What are your thoughts?
Dude, I'm ecstatic. I can't wait to see a 3-1 lead blown again in my lifetime with Doc Rivers as the head coach of a team. Are you kidding? I'm ecstatic. My thoughts are this. I know the Bucks have been, playing a little off. Like you watch the Celtics, you're like, this team is very, very good.
Right.
You watch the Bucks, you're like, this team should be good, but they're not as good as you think. I find it interesting that they always want to blame the head coach. I do. Even though he is like a first year head coach, maybe they shouldn't hired a first year rookie head coach if
I
that's
have
not what
some
they
comments
wanted.
on that as well. But go ahead.
Um, I mean, I don't have too much to say. I don't really know too much about the coaching world. Um, all I know is basketball, and I guess they want to play better basketball, and so they're getting a new coach. I don't like when a coach is a scapegoat because I think players should be held accountable. And I think they're trying to avoid it because I was reading and listening to some stuff about how the Bucks were saying the players had no input in this decision. I'm like, I think you probably talked to your superstar Giannis a little
I was
bit
gonna say
about
there's
it.
at least one player that I'm
Yeah,
sure had some
yeah.
input.
It's and I know there was also things that like Giannis was very much in support of him being the head coach when the season started.
Well,
They
well, well.
well, what?
So like Giannis, the Bucks almost hired Nick Nurse. He was like the front runner for
A
that
good
job.
coach, cool.
And Giannis was like, I don't think I want that guy. So then they were like, okay, never mind. Actually, we're not going to hire Nick Nurse. And then Nick Nurse, of course, went to the Sixers, and they looked super awesome this year. And then he said, I guess that guy will do. He said, I don't want Nick Nurse. So I don't know how much Giannis loved it. I know the other night I saw Giannis drawing a play on the bench.
Yeah, I was gonna.
Uh,
I heard about that too.
so I think Giannis definitely had a part to play in this. I think also like again, to be fair to Adrian Griffin, I think Giannis is not the like egoless superstar that some people make him out to be. I think he wants like the fact that he takes fadeaway 2-point jump shots is like that's not what you should be doing because you're like a dunking machine and a screen machine. But he doesn't want to do those things. Like he doesn't want to play like a big guy. He wants
Yeah.
to like look cool and like dribble the ball and do all these other things. Um,
Also, to run after a game ball that was given to a rookie who scored his first points.
yeah,
It's like I do believe, Giannis is better than a lot of some NBA players for sure, but like he does have a little bit of this. Also, like players don't know coaching, right? So even though Giannis is like, I like this coach, you're not a coach, you're a player. You know what I mean? Like they don't really know what they want, I
yeah.
feel like. But they want to keep him happy because they want him to sign an extension, they want to keep him around. Like,
Yes, he signed the extension. I think that's another part of it. Why they hired not Nick Nurse because he Giannis had yet to sign the extension, so they didn't want to sign
yeah,
a coach he didn't approve of. So once Adrian Griffin was given I guess that's okay. They signed him, and now he's out halfway through the season. I think it's third fastest coach firing in league history. I want to say.
crazy. I did not know that.
Mhm. And
Um,
the most similar one that people have been comparing it to is David Blatt in the 2016 year with the Cavs. That
oh,
was
uh,
when they were supposed to be rebuilding, and then LeBron went back to Cleveland, and then they traded for Kevin Love. So they were doing good too. They were like 30-11 or something. Like they had a similar record, and they fired David Blatt and then Ty took over, and they won that championship.
they actually when they announced they talked about that. So I heard it live on the air. I was watching a game. They heard it live on the air, the breaking news that Doc Rivers signed the position to be the head coach. And they
Mm-hmm.
mentioned that specifically, that moment, or that year, 2016, and the Cavs. But yeah, I don't know. I don't have too much else to say about that. It's interesting, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's weird that
Um,
it just happened like that.
yeah,
But
it is. But we'll see what happens. I'm just curious, I guess now. Let's see what team they get up 3-1 against and then lose to. I'm excited.
get up 3-1, start shaking out their boots. Like, oh shit.
Doc is going to literally shit in his pants. He's gonna be like, not again. Like, just let them get 2-2 at least.
I don't know what impression that was, but Doc Rivers sounds like
Oh yeah, oh man, I'm shitting my pants.
that guy does not have a voice anymore. He's been
Oh
yelling his
man.
whole life.
Oh man, this is explicit episode. Um, Also, can you cover the next one? Because I don't know who this is.
So the Wizards coach, Wes
That's why
Unseld
I don't. That's
Jr.
why I don't know who it
He
is.
it was announced like today or yesterday. I saw this and it was like no one's talking about it. It's weird. He's their coach and he's been their coach since last year, the start of last year. And he's just going from coach to front office role, kind of like Brad Stevens did with the
Yeah.
Celtics a couple of years ago. And their interim coach is going to be Brian Keefe, who was an assistant coach on the bench. So, like, I don't know what happened. I haven't heard any reasons. He just went from coach to front office, and now one of the assistant coaches is kind of taking over. I think the Wizards are just calling it. They're like, "Yeah, man, this season is done. It's a wrap." I think they'll hire somebody else next year. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's so random.
Well, obviously, I have nothing to add or contribute because I didn't even know who he was. But what I can contribute is
Contribute.
we could talk about a crazy night of basketball happened a few nights ago.
Yeah. Tell me.
So Joel Embiid scored 70 in a win against the Spurs.
Mm.
Spurs.
Wimby, defensive,
Wimby.
best defensive rookie of all time, right there.
He sliced him up. He became the highest scoring night for any Sixer, passing Wilt Chamberlain at 68.
That guy can
And
score.
yeah, in addition to 70 points, he had 18 rebounds and 5 assists. Also, just to note, not an overtime game, which I think is interesting, because Donovan Mitchell got 71 in overtime. So
Mm-hmm.
just saying
Did Lillard have overtime last season?
that was not overtime. So
Damian Lillard wins. Sorry.
he still wins. But still insane. Like to actually think about 70 points. And I watched like the highlights of this game, and it's just crazy.
And
And
before the game, Popovich said, "We're gonna hammer his ass." I don't know if you saw that.
I also don't know what that means. Like they're just gonna put him on the line. They're
They're
gonna
just like, "What do you think on Joel Embiid? Like, how you gonna stop him?" But I think he just said, like, "We're gonna hammer his ass." Did not hammer him. Not enough.
I actually should see how many free throws he made, but I'm pretty sure he was like almost 100% from the free throw line. Always
Yeah,
gets up
he's
there a
a
lot.
free throw monster.
Yeah,
He's having a
absolutely.
crazy season, by the way.
Yeah, I mean MVP last year. I mean, kind of.
And people felt bad about it after Jokic won the finals.
Yeah, I
And
know.
now it's like, oh, maybe he's MVP again, actually. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Well, we'll find out. But what's the other thing that happened that night that was crazy?
The other thing that happened is Carl Anthony Towns scored 62 points, 47 of which were in the first half, by the way. And then he went hunting. He went hunting for points. He said, "Give me the ball and let me shoot." And then he only scored 15 points in the second half to finish with 62. Um, and even worse, the point hunting resulted in the Timberwolves blowing an 18-point fourth quarter lead to the Charlotte Hornets, and they
That's this is
lost.
this is why I love the game. Oh,
Such a Timberwolves thing to do to blow an 18-point lead to the Hornets when your player has like a career high night scoring 62.
yeah,
It's so sad. It's also sad to think of because he had 47. It's like you're on pace for 84 technically, right? Like that's crazy.
yeah, yeah.
But
Well, it's also I looked at the box score for the other players, and no one else was like in double digits, basically.
yeah, I don't think Anthony
Uh,
Edwards scored until like the fourth quarter.
yeah, he only had like 8 points or something like that. It was definitely an off night for him, but
Also, Karl-Anthony Towns got benched. He got benched at the end of this game. Chris
because
Finch benched him. He said, "Stop hunting points," and benched him. And in the post-game press conference, he said, "Yeah, he was hunting points, so I benched him." Which is
weird.
crazy.
It's crazy when you're seeking personal glory over the team. It's like you get, you lose games and you get punished for it. It's crazy.
That's such a
Still a crazy
Carl
feat
Anthony
though.
Towns thing to do.
Yeah, especially since like it's so interesting because like I feel like this narrative around him is like he's a complainer, he's not trying as hard. And then like this year, I feel like that narrative changed because he's like, okay, I'm not the number one option. It's Anthony Edwards. So now
Mhm.
he's like, I can just kind of play my game how I want. But then he still pulls stuff like this, and I'm like, Carl,
Why? Why,
Carl,
Carl
baby,
Anthony? What are you doing?
why? Why? But
Crazy.
still a great feat to hit 62. That's crazy. Um, but I mean, Timberwolves are still very good,
Hmm.
but just crazy to learn that they lost. When I saw that they lost too, I was just in
Those
disbelief.
games are happening at the same time too. So I wonder, like, what the like if people in the bench were like, "Hey, like that guy has this many points or whatever." And it was also the anniversary of Kobe's 81-point game.
Yeah, against the Raptors, right?
Yeah. So yes,
Yeah,
so it was like, is somebody gonna pass it up on the day of the anniversary? They
that
did.
would they
Uh,
didn't. They obviously.
Pat was on
Uh,
pace. He
I
was
was
on.
gonna
He
say he
is.
was on pace to do it. Yeah, but yeah, so that's a lot of the news stuff that's happening. The last bit
A
of
lot of
news,
news. So much
the
news.
last bit of news, kind of like the most league defying news is the All Stars, the
All
starters
stars. That's
were
like
announced
the main
tonight.
point of this episode is all
Yeah,
stars.
they're announced tonight. Do you want me to tell you who got in the West? You tell me who got in the East.
Sure, I got to memorize, so I'm ready.
I'm pretty sure I have them memorized too. But West, I remember I was like very happy to see this.
Mm,
So the West guards, Luka Doncic,
mm. That guy's
well
pretty good.
deserved, and not Steph Curry, but
Oh,
Shea Gilgeous-Alexander.
that guy's pretty good too.
Very happy to see that. And then the captain of the team, LeBron James, who has the most votes, of course, because he's the only player like everyone knows. My mom still knows who he is. Um,
NBA record 20 time All Star.
yes, very crazy. Kevin Durant,
Mm, mm,
and
mm.
then Nikola Jokic.
Wow, that's a stack line.
That is an all-star team. What's the East look like?
The East looks like guard Tyrese Halliburton at
We
the
love
home
that.
court of Indiana. Other guard was Damian Lillard of the Bucks. Forwards we had Jason Tatum. We had captain Giannis Antetokounmpo, most votes in the East, and then Joel Embiid was the fifth and final starter. I have a question. My question for you: we made our own personal All Star team, so we're going to get into that, and we're going to talk about that. Out of 10, how many of these people were in your starting All Star lineups?
Out of 10, 9 were in my lineups.
Interesting. I had eight. I had eight of these people.
Interesting. Oh,
Yeah,
I have a okay. Well, we're about to dive into it right now
yeah.
anyways. So how do you want to do this?
I think probably I
Let's
don't
just say
know.
our starters. Like, so I'll
We
say
get
what I had for the West.
who do you seem like you wanted to guess who?
Well, I was gonna guess that you put Steph Curry instead of Shea, but
No,
not deserved. Okay.
no.
Gotcha.
I voted. My All Star teams are purely based on who I think deserve the starting spots, the
Got
bench
it.
spots, the wild card spots.
Got it. That's what I did too. I just wanted to make sure. Okay. So I'm not gonna guess because I don't know. I
Yep.
have a feeling,
I did a
but
lot of research here, by the way. Did a lot of
uh
research. I got a lot of stats
I
for you.
I am excited because I didn't do that. I just looked at the rosters, was like, and I mean I know a little bit, but definitely didn't have as much time as I wish I could have.
Well, how about
Um
this? Tell me, you said West, right?
yeah, West. So basically I'll
How
say
many
that
of these players were instantaneous locks for you? How many were you like, I don't even really need to look around?
okay, for sure the West starters, I had that first, like immediately. Like
All
that was
five of
so
them?
easy.
You think all five of them
Um
were locks?
yeah, I did have before I had Kevin Durant, I did put Anthony Davis, but I was like, no, it's
Hmm.
Kevin Durant. Like I just kind of forgot about him for a second because I keep thinking he's in the East.
It's
Keep,
Kevin bleeping Durant. I would
um,
say out of the four West starters, I mean, sorry, the five West starters, four of them, I think we're locked in. The fifth one, I struggled a little bit
oh, well, okay. Well, are you talking about locked in like that we're gonna be for
as
sure
starters.
voted or like
No, no,
for
no, no, no.
yourself?
For me, like
Oh, for you, gotcha.
when I looked at the lineups, I thought, okay, I have four people that I know are starters, and then the fifth one I had to kind of choose between some
Oh
guys.
yeah, mine were locks. My
Okay,
the five I had was like absolutely I want these
okay,
five.
let's go one at a time.
Okay, so Luka Doncic,
Luka Doncic averaging 34, 9 and 9, 48% from the field, 37 from three, 77 from the line.
Crazy. I just watched also a wild game last night. Rivals Week is insane. I don't know if you've been
Yeah,
watching basketball this year, but it's crazy.
34.99 is nuts. That is a nuts stat line. That is
Yeah,
locked in, all-star, absolutely deserved, no questions
yeah,
asked.
absolutely. Next guard I had SGA.
FGA, I had as well, averaging 31, 6, and 6, 55% from the field, 89% from the line, and the number
So
one seed
nutty.
in the West right now.
So crazy. Crazy. I had
Luka's on the
LeBron
eighth seed,
James.
by the way. The Mavs kind of suck, but Luka's awesome.
Yeah, yeah. But they have a winning record still, which is,
Yeah,
the West
yeah.
is stacked. But so I had LeBron James next,
LeBron James.
obviously.
Yes, LeBron James, 25, 7, and 7, 52, 39, 74%. Lakers are currently they were the 9 seed when I did this. I did this like
Yeah,
2 days ago. I don't know if they're still the 9 seed.
I think they're 10th right now.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I had Kevin Durant.
Kevin Durant, 29, 6, and 6, 50, 53, 46, 88.
Crazy.
I mean,
Absolutely
almost 50,
insane.
40, 90. Like,
Yeah.
going wild.
He might get there. And then Nikola Jokic.
Jokic, 26, 12, and 9, 59, 36, 82 are his splits.
Yeah. So okay, so where were you like not sure?
So I have one of these players not in my starting. Uh, one of the players you mentioned is not in my starters.
Wait, can I guess?
Sure.
Wait, actually, I actually don't know. I actually don't know. I want you to tell me.
So the player I have this player on my bench. I don't have him in my starters, and that is the West captain of LeBron James. I don't
Well,
have
I
in
know.
my
Oh, yeah, that was
starting
okay.
lineup. Uh,
I okay.
and here's why. Here's who I have instead of LeBron James. I had uh the better player on his team in my starting lineup instead, Anthony Davis.
Oh,
Uh,
okay, okay.
25, 12, 4 assists, 2 blocks, 56% from the field, 82% from the line. I think he's just having a more impactful season than LeBron, averaging same amount of points, more rebounds, and of course the defense. I think could never be understated for Anthony Davis. He's had a really healthy season
Yeah.
for the Lakers, so I had him over LeBron. My other consideration I'll get to later. I had it was Anthony Davis, LeBron, and one other guy I was kind of battling for this last forward spot in my starting lineup.
Gotcha. I totally understand that argument. I knew
I know the
LeBron was
legacy
gonna
argument
get
is
it.
like
Yeah,
LeBron. I knew he was going to get voted in, but like when I was
yeah,
going through who I think are the best, 5 players or whatever.
yeah. And
Uh,
I don't disagree with you. I think that's a very understandable
is me
answer.
reading the stats useful? Do you enjoy that?
I enjoy it. I don't care
Okay,
about what everyone else
does the
thinks.
listener
I
enjoy it?
enjoy it. Because I don't know these. I looked up a little bit when I was having trouble later, but not like this stuff. Um, let's do East starters now. You tell me who you had
Okay,
on your starters.
okay, I'm gonna go. Okay, I'll tell you my locks. My locks, I have again 4 locks. 4 to 5
Okay.
of these were easy. Okay,
Okay.
let me do my locks first. Embiid, so easy.
Lock.
36, 12, 6. I mean, that
Crazy.
is a nuts stat line.
36.
36. The last player to average 36 was Harden when he won MVP, I think. Before that, it was a man named Michael Jordan. I don't know if you know who that is.
No, it's just our 23rd episode.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Pretty cool.
The Sixers have been great. He is also 54% from the field, 36 from three, 89% from the line for a center. Is crazy.
Close. Yeah, he's in
Um,
close. It's a 50,
so
40, 90. Yeah.
yeah, he is having a crazy season. Easy All-Star starter, right? No debate there.
Yeah, no debate.
Giannis, 31, 12, and 6. All right.
Crazy.
And
Yeah.
of course,
All right.
Giannis defense. So like that was not hard to determine. He's shooting 60% from the field, so very efficient, 31
Yeah.
points. Jason Tatum, 27, 8, and 4. His efficiency is not great, 47, 36, 81. It's not quite as good as the 2 guys I read before him, but he's clearly the best player on the best team in the NBA right now. So
Absolutely.
you gotta lock him in. Then my other lock was Halliburton, 24, 13, and 4, leading the league in assist. 50, 40, 86, close to 50, 40, 90. And
Almost.
Pacers right now are running like a NBA history, record breaking offense. So I had to have him in there.
Yeah, absolutely. Man, I love the NBA. Just talking about this, I'm like, the NBA now is so crazy.
It's so good. Everyone's so
So
good.
crazy. Yeah.
Did you have all four of those players in your?
I had all four. Those are all locks. I also had a fifth lock, and we've talked about this. But
Okay.
like what I thought,
I think I know who you're gonna say,
you yeah.
and
Um,
it's different from mine. I think.
okay.
Um,
Well, I had the Tyrese backcourt,
the
Tyrese
Tyrese
Maxey.
backcourt. Okay, all right, I like it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Tyrese Maxey, 26, 7 and 4. Uh,
Yeah. Crazy.
45, 38, 86 are his splits. And again,
Yeah.
if you're listening and you're like, what do those numbers mean? First number is percentage overall. Second number is percentage from three. The third number is percentage from the free throw line. So
Also, when we say points like 30, 12, and 5, it's going points, average points per game, rebounds per game, and then assists per game.
well, it depends. If it's a big guy like Embiid, I said 31, 12, and 5. 31 or 36, 12, and 5 is 36 points, 12 rebounds, 5 assists. But when I said Halliburton, I said 24, 12, and 5. 24 points, 12 assists, 5 rebounds. It depends on the player.
Okay, so basically just pay attention and then you'll know exactly what we're
It
talking
just
about.
descends. It just descends in the
Okay,
order.
so who'd you have?
So yeah, Maxey is on my team. He's on my bench.
Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Just like LeBron is on my bench for the West. My starting guard was not Damian Lillard either. That was not that
Okay.
good. Instead, it was Jalen Brunson. That is who I put in this position. He's averaging 27, 7, and 3. And the reason I had Jalen Brunson are these efficiency numbers: 48 from the field, which is fine. 43% from three. He is killing it from three. 83% from the line. I think he's just clearly the best player on the Knicks
Yeah.
right now. So that was my last starting guard. But it was between him, Maxi, and one other guy that I'll talk about.
Yeah. I definitely don't hate that. We'll talk about Brunson
Yeah.
later. Well, I think what I want to do next is I
Okay.
want to kind of do like a snake order. So now I want you to go over your East bench,
Okay.
and then I'll go over my East bench, and
My
then I'll
whole
start with.
bench.
Yeah, sorry. How did you want to do it? Like your second,
My
how do you
whole.
want to call it?
I don't know.
Let's
That's
do the whole
fine.
bench. Let's do the whole bench. Yeah,
Okay.
let's do the whole bench. Yeah, yeah.
Here's my whole bench.
Okay,
Tyrese Maxey. That's my first guard at the bench. We just talked
cool.
about him. Um, the second guard off my bench is the guy I was alluding to that I considered for the other starting guard spot. That's Donovan Mitchell,
Okay.
averaging 28, 6, and 5. 46, 34, 87 are his splits. I had, because this team is so good, I gave them a second All Star forward, Jalen Brown. He is averaging 23, 6, and 5 right now on the Celtics. I think they're clearly the best team in the NBA. They probably deserve two All Stars. I gave them two All Stars. Next for me, Julius Randle, who I talked about having a down season. And he proved me wrong. So sorry, Julius Randle. 24, 9, and 5 for him. So he's having a pretty solid year. Then my last forward before my two wildcard spots. My last forward, I had Bam Adebayo, who is averaging 21, 11, and 4. And I think he's clearly the best player in the Heat this year. I think Jimmy Butler missed a lot of time. So I gave the edge to Bam here because I think their team is good enough to have an all-star. And I think he's kind of the focal points of kind of what they do, how they run their offense without the point guard, like we mentioned earlier, as well as the defense, can't be accounted for in the box score numbers. And then
Absolutely.
lastly, my
Yep.
two wild card spots. One of them I gave to Trey Young because he is averaging 27 to 11. So he is, the Hawks are what they are, but the raw numbers don't lie.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then my last wild card spot was Damian Lillard. So Damian Lillard did make my team narrowly. He's a starter in the actual All Star game, but he barely made the wild card slot on my team. And
Okay.
I kind of did I didn't really do it in order of like where I wanted them. I kind of did it positionally. Like I did Jalen
Yeah.
Brown, Julius Randle, Bam because I like 3, 4, 5 in my mind.
Yeah. Same.
Um,
Yeah.
so it's not necessarily like David Lillard is the last guy I wanted on here. It's just kind of how it played out with the wild cards. And then I only had one player that I felt kind of bad leaving off this team.
Yeah.
Um, but we can talk about that after.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, for sure. Um, I had a lot of the same people.
Okay, let's hear it.
So my guards were Jalen Brunson
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. That guy's
uh,
pretty good.
and Damian Lillard. I did
Okay,
have them there. Donovan Mitchell comes later.
okay.
And I did have Julius Randle,
Hmm,
and I had Bam Adebayo.
nice.
The only difference is I originally did have Jimmy Butler. I have not watched a lot of Heat. But I was watching the Celtics Heat game and Jaylen Brown was going off. So I do think Jaylen Brown does deserve to be on this. A little retcon, but
Okay,
that's
so you're switching
kind
it
of how I
like
see it.
so. You're saying the list you had prepared had Jimmy Butler on there,
It
but you're
had Jimmy
taking him off
Butler,
for Jalen
but
Brown.
absolutely.
Okay,
Yeah, yeah. But then so I had also, wild cards. Donovan Mitchell.
yeah, of course.
And I put Kristaps Porzingis. Look, I know he's missed a
Oh,
lot of time,
interesting,
but
interesting.
I again, like this is before I was watching this game, but he's playing a little out of his mind.
Yeah.
But he did look like he got injured, sprained his ankle, so hopefully he's not missing more time. But again, this is just who I think was like that good that I was thinking about.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah,
Yeah, I think for me, I think his raw stats weren't enough to make the push for me. Like he's been a really good role player. I think an argument could be made there for Derek White as well.
yeah,
Because he's been like the glue guy holding that team together. But a reason they're doing so good.
yeah.
Um, Neither of those guys though are who I had for my honorable mention. I guess my one honorable mention player.
All right. Who is
And
it?
that is Paolo Banchero. Sad I couldn't get Paolo into the All Star game. He was pretty close. For me, I think my last forward slot was between him and Julius Randle. I think I was pretty happy with everyone else, and I wasn't sure if the Knicks
Mm,
deserved to that second All Star space because they're like the sixth seed right now or the fifth
yeah.
seed in the East. Um, but ultimately, I went with Randle. His numbers and efficiency were a little better. Um, I do think Paolo is definitely on his way, though. Probably will be an all star next year. What I ended up replacing the title honorable mention. I just put injury replacement. So if any of these people are out, this
Oh,
is like
gotcha.
my next man up kind of thing. But interesting. We had 11 of the 12 people we had
Yeah.
aligned. You're a Trae Young hater, which I already knew that.
Yeah,
Um,
I looked at it and I was like, should Trey Young be an all-star? I was like, I'm not even just gonna look at his stats or whatever. I'm just gonna not put him in my all-star list this year. At
at
least
some point,
like
the numbers are the numbers.
no, 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 no. I'm also not disagreeing with you. I get it. Like I do get it. Um, it also like I just feel like sometimes the name plays such a big part. Like LaMelo had so many votes. I'm like, why is LaMelo Ball even considered?
Why isn't Cade Cunningham an all star?
Honestly, let's talk about the Pistons.
Terry Rozier was on that long list though, that I was dwindled
Yeah,
down from, but
and I
ultimately it wasn't there. Scotty Barnes, I briefly considered for a second, but the Raptors are bad.
yeah, I thought you
The
might have had Terry, but I know like he's on the Charlotte Hornets. Like, you kind of
Hornets
have
were
to.
really bad. Yeah, a lot of these
Yeah,
teams were so bad. The Bulls, the Rose and Levine, none of those guys really
yeah,
drew much consideration for me.
yeah. I thought about DeRozan, but these other forwards I think were just better teams doing more work, doing better.
Doing more winning. At some point, you got to
Yeah,
contribute to winning.
exactly. So now I'm gonna go over my West bench.
Okay.
All right.
Do you want me to throw out stats? No,
Yeah. If you have if you have
until
them on you, or yeah, if you have them on you, you can say them.
I have them. My doc. I can show my doc after this. It looks so nice.
Okay. Well, how do you know I have what you have?
I assume you have a lot of the same players.
You're probably right. All right, here we go. First on my bench in the West, Anthony Edwards.
Anthony Edwards averaging 26, 5, and 5.
Cool.
I don't know. Should I
Um,
keep reading efficiencies? Do you like the efficiencies?
I love the efficiencies
Okay.
and it's
Four,
about what I want.
46, 38, 84.
That's good.
It's pretty
That's
good.
good. See, I'm learning too. This is
Yeah.
nice. Next I had Devin Booker.
Devin Booker, 27, 8, and 5 on 49, 37, 89.
Very good as well.
Yeah.
Kind of nice to see that his assist numbers are up too, since Chris
Yeah.
Paul's not
It's good.
there.
Yeah, doing pseudo point guard duties.
Yeah, yeah. Next, my first forward, I have Anthony Davis.
Okay. Yeah, I read
You
your
already
stats
talked
earlier.
about
Yeah,
him.
yeah, yeah.
Talked about him. Next I have Kawhi Leonard.
Kawhi Leonard, 24, 6, 4, and 2 steals. Here's his efficiency: 52, 44, 88.
Oh my God. That's
He's
great. I did
he's a
not know he's that
monster.
efficient from the 3-point line.
Yeah.
Honestly really only started considering Clippers after I watched the Brooklyn Nets and
Oh
Clippers
yeah, this
game.
team's good, man.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, well, all right, well, and we'll talk, but and then my last forward, uh, Domantas Sabonis.
I knew it. I knew it was coming.
I knew,
Sabonis. I don't have the exact stats in front of me, but I did
I
look.
looked it up.
I
He's
looked at
like,
Sabonis. It's like 21, 14 rebounds and 7 assists or something. It's pretty good.
yeah, it's almost a triple. Yeah, it's like 21, 12, and 7, I think.
Yeah.
So yeah, those are my bench, and then so I have two wild cards.
Hmm.
I put Alperen Şengün.
Oh, interesting.
I wanted to give him a nod because I do think he's doing very good.
Hmm.
And also I put Steph Curry.
Mm. That guy's pretty good, I think.
But yeah, I got some honorable mentions, but we can talk about that later.
Okay.
All right.
I have two different guys than you.
All
Uh,
right. Let's
so
talk
yeah.
about it.
My first guard off the bench is different than anyone you mentioned, and that would be De'Aaron Fox, who is averaging 28, 6, and 4. His splits 47, 39, 72 from the line. Needs to work on that free throw percentage. Um,
Someone
I
I did
had,
consider. I want that known. I did
yeah,
consider.
yeah, yeah. I have Devin Booker on there as well. We already talked about him and his stats. Then I had my other difference here, my first forward off the bench. Well, not my first by like I think he's the third best
Yeah.
forward, but positionally this made sense in my little brain. Paul George.
I
Uh
knew it. I knew it. I knew it. Okay.
Kawhi stats 24, 6, 4, and 2. Paul George's stats 24, 6, 4, and 2. They're the same exact offensive stats.
That's
Uh
crazy.
he's a little less efficient, fit 47, 42, 91 from the line though. So free throw machine, Paul George.
Yeah.
And then I had Kawhi, who I of course mentioned. His defensive impact probably a little more important than Paul George. Kawhi was the other person too, just because of how efficient he was, that I considered for that starting forward spot amongst Anthony Davis. And this other guy on my bench, LeBron James, who was not my starting, who we already talked about his stats. My first wild card, Steph Curry. He did make my roster, averaging 27, 5, and 4. 45% from the field, 40 from three, 92 from the line. That's how Steph Curry rolls. He doesn't miss threes, he doesn't miss free throws.
Yep.
They're the 12th team in the West. I would point that
Yeah,
out.
which is I know that this is more like he's like the best player on a bad team. Yeah, for sure.
And then my other wild card was Anthony Edwards.
Okay, I get it. I get it.
Tweaked it out 26, 5, and 5. I think I mentioned that already, but yeah, Timberwolves, I think, are tied with the Thunder for like the best record in the West. They have to
Hmm.
have an all-star. He's their best player. So that is kind of where I went with that. The most painful, I think, cut from my team was Sabonis. I think Sabonis has had a pretty good year. I was really sad I couldn't squeak him on here. I think it's just the Kings being as low as they are. I put De'Aaron over him, and I didn't know if they merited two All Stars with where they are in the standings.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was my All Star team. So overall, we had three players that were different.
Yeah, I get it. Also, the West is so stacked, like it's so tough. I see. I even when I was doing this, I was putting my third forward in my head as like a center. So I didn't even consider like putting another like I have my honorable mentions. I put Cat and Paul George. Paul George,
That was on my that was the name after Sabonis was
yeah,
Jackson.
yeah. So Paul George, I did want to put like I had him there instead of Kawhi, but I thought about it and I like the defensive side of Kawhi a bit more than Paul George, and so then I put him in there. I was trying to put Paul George instead of Devin Booker originally, but then I looked it up. He's a forward, doesn't
Mhm.
count. And did a bit more research and was like, no, Devin Booker he should be an all-star.
Yeah.
He is just that good. Do you have any honorable mentions? It was Sabonis and Cat, right?
I had Sabonis, Cat, and then on my long list I had Şengün. I just don't think the numbers merited an All
Yeah.
Star appearance with how not good the Rockets are. I had Kyrie, because Kyrie's stats and efficiency are really good. It's like
Yeah,
25, 5 and 5 with like really good efficiency. He's just only played like 25 games. So
yeah.
he hadn't played enough to end up making the team for me. And then there's some players on bad teams like Bade is injured, but he was having a pretty good year. Um, Laurie Marketed, he's averaging like 24 and 9, I think, at the Jazz. I looked at him a little bit, but ultimately decided against it. So
Two people I did not even think about or consider.
uh I think it's interesting to point out the fifth seeded New Orleans Pelicans don't have anyone that I even considered making an
L-
all-star.
Look, I'm so glad you mentioned that because I actually did specifically look at like the standings. It was like, okay, I need to know I need to look at the roster of the New Orleans Pelicans, and someone has to, and they're like fifth or sixth in the West right now. And I was like, okay, maybe a guard. I was like, Cedar McCollum? No, these guards are better. It's like, okay, maybe Brandon Ingram. It's like, these forwards are a little bit better. Maybe Zion. These guys are a little bit better. So I'm like, how are the Pelicans doing it? I guess the role players are just that good. Like they're just all together able to kind
Yeah,
of,
they do not have a guy standing out of their team as like the guy,
yeah.
which is interesting. But yeah, so a little combination of the eye test that we've been watching all season, as well as I did some stat research and all that to kind of help me make tough decisions towards the end.
I love
Um,
that. I love that. That's more you're more a little bit more logical, a bit more emotional,
mhm.
but still a lot of overlap. So I think
Yeah,
is really
right. We only had what you had Şengün, you had Porzingis, and you had Sabonis. Those are the three
yeah, but even
differences.
then, yeah, even then those were wild card like not even like, our basically our main bench and starters were all basically the same.
Yeah,
Um which
and
just
hopefully the
shows
NBA agrees.
we'll find out. We'll find out. Do they know who the coaches are for each? Is it the best in the West and
I
best
think
coach?
usually it is the best in each conference, which is interesting because the Timberwolves and Thunder are
Yeah.
tied right now.
Yeah.
And the Celtics are, I guess, are narrowly above the Bucks and Sixers out in the East. I don't know when that decision is made on who coaches the All-Star game.
I guess Chris Finch and Mark Duganall have to just like do like a straight up fight in a
It's
cage
just
match or
they just have to go
something.
box.
Yeah, if the box, whoever gets knocked out first, is not the coach. Um,
And I know you're excited about the East-West format.
I love it. I cannot wait
I
for
think the
that.
West is going to clubber them. They're so much better.
I
They're so
know.
much better.
Yeah. But I mean, stranger things have happened. You never know.
Although the starting lineup for both is pretty good.
So good. Yeah. I hope they, I remember I was talking to my mom about this. So we're talking about all stars and everything. And she was like, oh, I never liked watching it because it was always just them just kind of messing around. And it's like, it
Mhm.
is tough, like to try to make it competitive, but you also don't want to hurt anybody. But, we'll see maybe this year it's a bit more. I think the East and West is it's an easy way to do versus, like East versus West. Whereas before it was like harder, like you're against Giannis or against LeBron. Like it was, you don't know who you're rooting for really. So,
Mhm.
um,
Yeah.
I just think it's a little bit
Oh,
easier. Like my team's in the West, so I'm rooting for the West. You know,
I did want to point out, I forgot to mention this earlier. I think between with Damian Lillard being the starting lineup for the East, I think him and Brunson tied in votes from like media or whatever that votes on All-Star starters.
okay,
So they tied, so then the media vote favored Damian Lillard. So that's why he ended up being the starter instead of Brunson.
interesting, very interesting.
And neither of us had him in our starting lineup. So
Yeah, because Tyrese Maxey should be there.
sure.
Or Donovan Mitchell, I guess, or Donovan Mitchell. But yeah, I mean, very interested to see, you know, how it all turns out. And we got trade deadline stuff coming up, so we'll be talking a lot more about the trades that are probably going to happen and all that. So yeah, very interested to find out. Make sure to keep up with us and let us know if you agree with us or if you think we're wrong and
I
anything else.
I just read some news that said Steph Curry and Sabrina Ionescu, who is a really good WNBA player, are going to have a 3-point contest at the All Star game together. So that's cool.
Cool.
She won the WNBA 3-point contest. So
I guess that's cool. There's a little bit of overlap. It seems a bit to me like we want people to watch the WNBA. So let's get Steph Curry to go against the best WNBA player. But I am kind of interested. I'm like, I wonder who would win. So
yeah.
um
Oh, you said let us know if we're wrong. That reminds me. We're not gonna do this right now because we don't have time. But Ethan sent me a message earlier. He said fan mailbag. If you're OKC and you could have one non-all-star on your team, who would it be? So that's a fan question we're not gonna answer this time, because we haven't had even a second to think about it. But
wait,
next
okay.
time.
Okay, interesting. Okay, I don't really understand it, but I'm
Like, I
excited
guess
for
Ethan's
this.
asking if you could add like a not star player to the Thunder, who would you want
Got it.
to like
Okay.
finish their team out? Because
Easy.
I guess he's a bandwagon Thunder fan right now. So
Dude, the answer is so obvious.
is it now?
Yeah, yeah. Get Jared Dudley out of retirement and a coach and put
Oh,
him on the team.
that's a good one. I like Jared Dudley. Yeah, but just like my friend Ethan here, if you're listening and made it this far, thank you for listening to us and ranting our shenanigans and talking about different things, kind of bouncing around the league after a couple weeks. Because we haven't been here for a couple weeks. But yeah, hopefully you liked it, enjoyed it. Like, comment, share, text, make posters of our face and put it around your local town on the power poles. I don't know.
We would love that. You
We
could
would
also
love it.
you could probably already find my face kind of like everywhere in LA. I do put my face a lot of places.
Just take our thumbnail and like print it out and start putting it around.
But yeah, thanks so much for listening. We really appreciate it. And let's do the shot real quick.
Shots. But I cannot speak. Does this tradition matter? People care about this.
I care.
So,
That's all about what I want.
true. Ugh.
Okay.
I feel like I've been close forever.
It's okay because you made two way too early anyways.
Yeah, I'm getting my revenge.
Dude, washed.
That was like the same exact place.
Yeah. Got a twist. But yeah, thanks again for listening. We'll catch y'all next time. In the meantime, that was Damon. I am Dom, and
Uh,
this is Two Man Game.
Buckets.